Hey guys, I'm Joe, and this is a Bradford fence. What's up guys? So hey, we're here in Little Rock on site. This is a job we just finished up yesterday, and so we wanted to walk you through this project specifically. With this project, they had probably a 25-year-old wooden fence. It was very aged. It was starting to fall over. It was crumbling at the bottom. It was just spent. It was at its end, and it was a typical just vertical picket fence. And this particular customer elected to go back with this horizontal fence with the cedar, which is a great option. It's a very popular option right now. It's a little bit more of a modern look and changes things up a little bit from just the traditional vertical picket. All right, so right now it's the 1st of January and it is cold out here. It's about 25 degrees this morning, and for us in Arkansas, that is like freezing. We're not used to that. Yesterday when the guys were out here, it was even colder. It was 20, 21 degrees, and even with the sunshine, it was freezing then. And so that's for the winter time. We do work through the cold. That doesn't stop us. Now, right now, this afternoon, they've got forecasted 6 inches or more of snow and ice to come, and so that with the snow and ice is rare around here, but that is something that will stop production. It won't delay us too much, but that is something that can be possibilities within a project with rain or snow. If it does rain or snow during a project, it could stop us for a day or two, but then we'll be quickly out as soon as things clear up to finish up or get back on schedule. But as far as cold and temperatures, typically that doesn't stop us, and we're going right on through the winter, making and building fences just as we would in the spring, summer, and fall. We wanted to show you the finished product of this, give you a little insight of what it looked like before, and then how this transformed this backyard space with this new horizontal fence. This particular customer, they've got kids and pets that they needed to contain, and with that old dilapidated fence, it was starting to break down and not function as well as they needed. So I want to show you what this turned out from the before and afters, and then also give you an inside look of what that process looks like once we've set our post, let the concrete set up, and the guys are out here installing the fence and building out the gates. So on your finish day, what to expect? The guys are they're gonna show up. They'll have their truck and trailer like they did with the set day. So this would be once we set the post, and then typically leave a day in between, at least 24 hours after setting the post. But usually you're gonna have a set day, a day of just letting the concrete set where you're not gonna see us, and then that third day being to where we come and finish out the fence and build out the gates. So this would be what you'd be looking at for finish on that finish day. Now this particular job is a horizontal, but the process is similar. So they're gonna show up with their truck and trailer. They'll need a spot typically along the road that's clear or in the driveway to be able to get their truck and trailer as close as possible to unload materials. So the first step, and you might could refer back to the video where we talked about the differences of set and post, with some materials where we just come back and trim the tops of the post, and some we have to set to grade at the beginning. So this is a wood fence. So with wood, chain link steel, we're just gonna set the post, and then we're gonna come back and run our top lines and trim the tops of the post. So here they are doing that, where we use a jig and we have different jigs for different styles and heights, but they're gonna mark the top line or the top of each post to flow with things. And so they're gonna mark all their posts, and that's gonna be the first thing. Typically gonna run a string line along the top, mark those. They'll trim the post to height, and that gives them their spot where they're gonna start the fence. So they'll start at the top. With a horizontal, they start with those horizontal pickets at the top. If it was privacy or some other styles, they may start with the 2x4 on top and work their way down. So as they arrive, then they'll start marking those and laying that out. They will then be planning of what pickets and 2x4s and material they need per section. So they'll start unloading that material and strategically laying it out to go at each section. And then they'll start installing. Here with this horizontal, again, they start with the pickets. They're running those pickets, and then they start at the top and come down. Then with the horizontal, you've got a mid vertical 2x4 that they'll position, level, and nail into place. And so then that would be kind of framing out those sections and then installing those pickets. Then they're going to come back and trim the tops of any 2x4s or posts that are above that top line that we marked. And then, like in horizontal, that it has a cap board that they're going to put that cap board on, which would be the same in like a cap and trim, that sort of thing, of putting that cap board on top to finish things out. You may have noticed that the joints here were a little bit unfinished, or just butted up as best as we could just to get this. So then that's why after that they go through and put all those pickets in as the first process, and then come back and put this trim piece here to make a nice clean finish over those horizontal pickets to cover those joints and give it a nice finished look. Also kind of breaks it up of these sections or segments, just gives it a little better look in that as well. And then you would have seen them trimming the tops of both the middle. So like right here, you see these nails. There's a middle 2x4 support. So they would have taken the chainsaw and trimmed those off flush. And then here at each post, so where this trim is where your posts are. They're cutting that off flush to get a nice clean line to then be able to put this cap board to one, just for looks, to kind of finish things off and tie all this together to give a nice good look of and just a clean finish with this horizontal fence. Yeah, and that's what you'll see all the way across the fence, is that that finished out, trimmed, and capped. This is a good example of the versatility in different styles of privacy fence that you can do. This is a 6 foot tall height, which is by far the most common height of a privacy fence. This is the horizontal, which it just changes things up from your traditional vertical picket fence. So this, like we said before, this is a very popular style. It does kind of bring some life or new look to things. It is a little bit more than a traditional vertical fence due to a few different factors. One is that we actually set our posts closer together. On a horizontal fence, you're going to have closer to a 6 foot spacing as opposed to the more standard 8 foot spacing on a regular like dog ear vertical picket fence. Also, you can see this is a Western red cedar picket that we use here, and that is by design. Now you will see some horizontal fences built with either a pine picket like this or a pine deck board, and we've experimented with different options. We've never used a pine picket here because we've never felt that was strong enough or substantial enough to run horizontally like that. We have done some testing with a pine deck board, which a deck board is a full 1 inch thick compared to these 5/8 inch pickets. So anyway, that's a long way to say the reason we elect to go with the cedar is because it is it's a very quality, strong material, but it's also much less likely to bow and to warp. And so even though we do have the proper framing and support, like with our mid rail on the back, the spanning those pickets horizontally is is a little less structure and support than when you run them vertically. So you want to make sure that you've got a quality horizontal rail that's not going to try to bow and twist and warp on you. So that cedar does a lot better on that. And as I mentioned, compared to the pine deck board, that's probably second best. But even with that pine deck board being thicker and hardier, it still has a tendency to want to try to bow and warp because of the moisture content in it. So again, over testing and seeing how things react and do in that horizontal position, we really feel that the best case and only really the only thing we would suggest is using these cedar as your horizontal rails in order for longevity and to prevent as much as possible of any movement and bowing with those horizontal boards. All right, so let's check out the gate. That's another thing that on the finish day they'll be working on. And I know we've given y'all some inside look on building out gates on some different other wood fences. The horizontal gate is similar. You can see here, this is a double. That's a little bit smaller double because we had some constraints with the air conditioning and the tree here. So it made this about a 7-foot opening, but for their purposes, they just wanted enough to be able to get a lawnmower, and he's got a side-by-side that he wanted to be able to pull through here. So it worked out to be a perfect opening for that. But those are things to think through of like, hey, what kind of access do I need to my backyard? Do I need to get a lawnmower that's X wide through there? Do I need to get a golf cart, a wheelbarrow? Those kind of things are great for planning purposes and talking through with your sales rep, or planning if you're building the fence yourself of what kind of opening do I need to get what I need to in the backyard. So anyway, you can see it's 6 foot tall, so we've got our standard 3 hinges. We've actually got an extra bolt through here for extra stability, and our hinges there. This opens up and you can see our 6x6 hinge posts that are standard on the gates. And then with the double, we've got our picket that gives a contact point, but also covers that gap in between. If you remember us talking before, you want about a 1-inch gap in between those gates. And then here with the double, we've got a drop rod that goes down into, we'll set a pipe in the ground to give stability and something for that rod to go down into, and to where that dirt doesn't just get too wallered out, and that actually gives some stability to that. That's also a note, because sometimes people think, well, I need a double gate for access, but I also want like a single gate just to walk in and out. But sometimes that becomes redundant because for the double gate, you don't have to open up the whole thing at once. You can utilize this the majority of the time as just like a walk gate, because this is pinned down and stationary. Then you can just walk in and out of this for normal access. And then whenever you need to get something bigger through, would be when you open this up, pull your drop rod, and open the full opening of this. The difference with horizontal, since we're running our pickets horizontal and not vertically, then we have to put an additional vertical frame piece here to give something to nail these ends of the boards to, and then on the latch side they're nailing to that to be able to secure those horizontal pickets. You can see similar framing as we talked about with our compression brace and all that for the other wood gates that we've looked at, but that will be what they'll work on when they come to finish, putting up the framing and pickets, and then building out your gates and getting you all set up. This is the back side of the gate, but then this gives you an example of what it looks like on the back side of the fence. The posts here are your 4x4s, which would mimic the trim that you see on the front side. And then this is this is that 2x4 that's in the middle of the section that's run vertically and gives us something to nail to support the middle of these horizontal pickets, and it also ties into the cap up here. Hey guys, thanks for joining us and taking a look at our inside look of the finish day when we're finishing up a fence, and then looking at this particular project with the horizontal privacy. Make sure and like this video, it helps out a ton, and subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this.